Introduce yourself.
I'm Michael Travers. I am the founder of Boston Sports Syndicate.
Okay. What is Boston Sports Syndicate?
Boston Sports Syndicate is it's a sports media company where we cover the Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins, and Patriots. And we take a look at it, not necessarily we don't necessarily report that things happen. We report more so the reasoning why it happened, our thoughts on why it happened. We're not just statistics. We're more opinion based. And all of our writers and our two podcast hosts, they're regular fans. They work a 9 to 5, and this is kind of like a secondary job or hobby depending on how into it they are. And they're giving their takes and their views from a passionate standpoint, as opposed to just the Celtics lost today. It's more so like why it happened and that kind of thing.
Why choose the name Boston Sports Syndicate?
So the name actually is the hardest part to come up with. When I started the whole project, it was the idea was there and the content is there, but the problem was coming up with the perfect name. And there's a lot of Google searches, a lot of looking up different things, and I wanted to be a little bit different. And with the syndicate, you're a group of people, or you're all getting together to talk about one thing. And I thought that the word syndicate, it sounds cool, and the meaning is exactly what we were looking for. We're just a bunch of guys that a bunch of people who all get together and we all talk about one thing, and that one thing happens to be Boston sports. So that's where we landed for the name.
What was your reason to create Boston Sports Syndicate?
A big part of it was I listen to a ton of sports radio, and I read a ton of articles about the Boston sports teams. Obviously, I've been a diehard fan my entire life. I grew up playing hockey, grew up playing baseball, followed all 4 of the Boston teams with a huge passion, and I don't want to say sick of, because I still listen to it, I still read those articles, I still listen to those stations and stuff, but I just thought there's not a ton of stuff for just your average, your casual person, and I can tend to be a little bit animated and entertaining at some point, so I started it as just a podcast, and it kind of grew from there into being, becoming a website, and it was kind of my way of getting my sports views out, because I felt like people, had to know that. They needed to know what I felt about sports, so that was the whole reasoning behind it.
Okay. Is Boston Sports Syndicate a hobby or a future career?
Both. Right now it's a hobby, and I would like it to be a future career if it makes sense when it comes time to make that decision. But luckily, it right now it can be both. It takes up a ton of my time, and but it's not my everyday job. I have a whole separate job that I do 9 to 5 every single day, and this is something that I can do in my spare time, but if one day it becomes a career and I can sit at home from 9 to 5 and just worry about sports, that's like a dream job. Who wouldn't do that, So I think both is the answer to that question.
Good. Okay. What makes Boston Sports Syndicate different from other sports stations and podcasts that cover Boston sports?
So I've said it a couple times, and the big thing for us, and we try and be different, is that we don't necessarily just say, the Red Sox won the World Series. You can open any number of sources, and you can see that the Red Sox won the World Series. We like to look at it as, why did they win the World Series? How did it happen, and how we personally feel about it. Not just that they won, but we take it a step further and try and give just a casual fan outlook on the whole thing. Kind of where a pink hat meets a diehard. That's kind of what we tried to be. Was casual fans, diehard fans, people who probably don't even know the name of the sport, but they want to be involved in something, and that's where we come into play. You can pick up a newspaper, you can pick up your phone. I don't think anybody reads newspapers anymore, but you can pick up your phone, you can go to any number of outlets and see that they won the World Series, but it's not necessarily telling you how they did it or why they did it. So that's what we try and focus on.
Okay. And where do you see Boston Sports Syndicate in 5 years?
I see it as being something that is bringing people together. That's the ultimate main goal of this whole thing. Like, of course, I would love for it to be a job. I'd love for it to take off and, you know, pay all the bills and do all that kind of stuff. Like, that's awesome. But more importantly, I think I want to hear what people have to say. I want to know what fans think. I want to bring as many people together as possible to share their thoughts and their views on Boston sports. Everybody's passionate, and everybody has some things that they, you know, I particularly am not a huge Tom Brady fan, and right now your whole class is probably going to boo. But it works for me because I have my reasonings, and I want to hear people that may not be the biggest Tom Brady fan, as well as the people that are huge Tom Brady fans. We all get together, we all can have a conversation, we all can talk about it, and the more outreach you have, and sports is a great way to, you know, not get caught up in the craziness of the world, and you're trying to bring as many people together to talk about it as possible. So hopefully in 5 years, and we have a few thousand people that are following us, and a few thousand people that we're getting in contact with, and they're, you know, giving us their opinion as to what they feel about Boston sports.